Charizard EX is an incredibly powerful card, and if you missed my set review, be sure to check that out for an in-depth look at all of the important cards from Obsidian Flames. I've seen several different builds of Charizard EX, but the main partners consistently showing up in Japanese tournament results so far are Arceus V-Star, Pidgeot EX, Forest Seal Stone with V Pokemon, and the Lost Zone engine. Arceus V-Star and Pidgeot EX are commonly being included in the same decks, but there are examples of Charizard EX with Arceus V-Star without Pidgeot, and Pidgeot EX without Arceus. The Forest Seal Stone variant omits Arceus V-Star in favor of Entei V, Delphox V, and Forest Seal Stones. Delphox V's magical fire attack has a lot of potential now with Charizard EX's ability to instantly power Delphox with 3 fire energies. The Lost Zone variants of Charizard EX are admittedly strange at first, but they do make some sense. Your Charmanders and Charmeleon can stay as single prizers until you need Charizard EX, so there's not a lot of risk to setting them up. As your single prize Pokemon are knocked out one by one, this makes Charizard EX's attack scarier the longer the game goes. I think it's fair to be skeptical of a Lost Zone deck playing rare candies, but it's interesting and seems to have some potential. It's worth noting that many Japanese Charizard EX deck lists include Charizard EX and Mew EX from the special set Scarlet and Violet 151, which has an English release date of September 22nd. In my early testing, Charizard Arceus Pidgeot is an incredibly consistent deck with a good amount of power behind it. I still need to fully explore the potential of Delphox V and see how Charizard stands up to a heavy path to the peak metagame, but I fully expect Charizard EX to be a popular card in the upcoming standard format. If you enjoyed today's video, remember to subscribe for more Pokemon TCG content, and you can also check out my second channel, Celio2, for more content. If you'd like to support my channel, you can do so by using code Celio at PotownStore.com when shopping for Pokemon TCG Live code cards, or use my affiliate links for Dragon Shield sleeves and Into the AM apparel. If you'd like to support me further, you could become a Metafy member using my link, which directly supports me, and I also offer Pokemon TCG coaching through Metafy. Coupon codes and affiliate links are in the description down below. Next is Glimmora EX. Glimmora EX's ability has a very strong effect, but it being on an EX Pokemon that needs to be in the active position makes it underwhelming. However, there are some Glimmora EX deck lists that have made me second guess my first impression on the card and might interest you as well. Here we have what I believe will be the baseline for Glimmora decks, including Radiant Hisuian Sneasler to increase the poison damage from Glimmora's attack, Rock Chestplate to make Glimmora harder to knock out, and Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX as a secondary attacker. Path to the Peak wouldn't typically work with Glimmora EX since it shuts down your own ability, but with the new Lunatone and Solrock combo, your Pokemon won't be affected by Stadium cards. Here we have a slightly different build with more focus on Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, which omits the Path to the Peak and Lunarock combo. Note that this example list uses Mew EX, which is not available in English until September 22nd. I don't think Glimmora EX is incredibly strong, but it will disrupt many decks with the bench effect, and it has a decent amount of cards to support it. To my surprise, some Kingambit decks have popped up at smaller Japanese events. This first one is just as focused on Bisharp as it is Kingambit, using Bisharp from Astral Radiance with the Vengeful Cut attack as one of the deck's main attacks. Kingambit has the Strike and Seize attack, which instantly KOs the defending Pokemon if it has at least 4 damage counters on it already. The Bisharp and Kingambit don't really synergize well with each other, but between the two and supplemental damage from Vengeful Punch, they should both be decent at outtrading multi-prize Pokemon. This deck should never beat any sort of Lost Zone box from the looks of it, which should be plenty of reason not to play this. Speaking of Lost Zone, let's look at Lost Zone box with Kingambit. I'm actually a fan of the Vengeful Punch effect in Lost Zone to begin with, and in this context it combos with Kingambit as well. This is likely never better than standard Lost Zone builds due to the inconsistencies of a Stage 2 Pokemon and rare candy, but it's cool nonetheless. I prefer to be skeptical of Stage 2 Pokemon when evaluating cards and decks competitively, so I can't with good faith say that I expect Kingambit to be a good deck by any means. But there are strategies and combinations that can at the very least function and win some games. Moving on to Palafin. This card is intriguing since it's a single price Pokemon that can deal 210 damage for just 2 water energy. Palafin needs to move from the bench to the active to use this attack, but that's not a major obstacle with cards like Switch, Escape Rope, and Cross Switcher available. This build with Palkia V-Star makes perfect sense, including additional ways to attach extra energy like Raihan and Experience Share. Once again, I must note that Mew EX is showing up in these Japanese lists, but will not be out until September 22nd for most players. We already have a notably high amount of viable decks in standard format, so even if Palafin can't break into competitive play right now, it has plenty of time to make a splash in the future. Tyranitar EX has a couple of things going for it, including very high HP and potentially high damage output. Additionally, Tyranitar hits Lugia V-Star, Palkia V-Star, and Pidgeot EX for weakness. Since Tyranitar EX's main attack needs one of your benched Pokemon to be damaged, Tyranitar decks will be needing ways to guarantee that requirement for the full 250 damage. This deck list uses Lucario from Brilliant Stars for that purpose, with the Roaring Resolve ability which damages Lucario. Roaring Resolve opens up energy switch plays and could also encourage the inclusion of Cheryl in this deck as well. The next version with Swampert from Fusion Strike doesn't focus on the self-damage as much and plans to move damage off of Tyranitar with Damage Pump after it's already been attacked. This deck is using Swampert to accelerate energy, but it can also use Swampert's attack which damages your own benched Pokemon and does a decent amount of damage to the opponent's active. The main issue with this deck list is the amount of Stage 2 Pokemon and having 0 non-Stage 2 attackers. The last Tyranitar variant we'll look at is Lawson Box with Tyranitar. Tyranitar EX could be Lawson's answer to Lugia, but I'd be surprised if this is any better than Luxray plus Reversal Energy. Note that Dodrio is an important piece of this deck list, and that will not be available just yet, but it could be replaced with Lucario from Brilliant Stars for now. Tyranitar EX has some great attributes, but I just don't see it standing up to the stronger Stage 2 Pokemon like Gardevoir EX and Charizard EX. Vespiquen EX is in a pretty unfortunate spot, since its Terra type is Psychic instead of Grass, which means it doesn't hit the new Charizard EX for weakness, and its own weakness is shifted to Dark, so it will be weak to the new Charizard. With typing aside, Vespiquen's Phantom Queen attack does a decent chunk of damage to the active, as well as potentially spreading 3 damage counters to all of the benched Pokemon. This deck list includes 3 Hawluchas to make sure you spread around enough damage to take full advantage of Vespiquen's attack. Vespiquen is going to need 3 Grass Energy, so this list plays a high count of energy as well as Leafeon V and Gardenia's Vigor. This deck strategy might actually be really good against Lawson decks since they play a lot of low HP Pokemon, but the hefty 3 Grass Energy cost and unfortunate typing will likely be enough to keep Vespiquen out of the competitive metagame. Lastly, we have one more Vespiquen EX focused deck list that also includes the new Toedscruel EX. Zoroark can transform into any Stage 1, and that includes EX Pokemon, so this Zoroark deck gets more and more interesting with every new Stage 1 EX that is released. This Zoroark box style deck focuses on damage spread with Drifblim, Hisuian Bravery, and Vespiquen EX. Toedscruel can protect your Pokemon from things like Sableye Lost Mine, and maybe even opposing Vespiquens, while also providing a solid Grass-type attacker if needed. Vespiquen EX has a cool attack, and I'd love to see it be a playable card for tournaments, but its typing and strict energy cost is likely going to keep it down. That's all for today, but stay tuned for more Obsidian Flames content. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.